Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Shelby Spencer and today I'm going to be filming this makeup look. It's just a really pretty gold smoky eye with a really easy neutral lip. This look might look difficult, but it really isn't. So if you guys want to learn how to create this look, then stay tuned and keep watching. Alrighty everybody, let's get started. Today I'm going to be focusing on a smoky eye makeup tutorial. To start out with this makeup tutorial, I'm going to prep my skin with the Fresh Rose Toner Facial Spray. Now this spray just really hydrates your skin and gets it ready for the makeup that we are going to be applying later on. So I'm just going to do a couple of spritz of this all over the face. Kind of let that dry. And I'm going to let that sink in while we move towards the eyes. So today for the eyes, I'm going to be focusing on using the Naked 2 palette from Urban Decay. This palette has been around for quite some time, but it's really worth the splurge with all the colors you get. You get some mattes, but mostly shimmers. Looks like this. It's a really gorgeous palette and really easy to work with. So I'm going to zoom you guys in a little bit so we can focus on the eyes. So, the first step in a smoky eye is the transition shade. You want to have a nice transition color so all the colors blend together and it just looks really seamless. You don't want to have it where you're looking like you got a black eye. So for the transition shade, I'm going to be going into the color Tease right here. This is a nice brown, a matte brown, and you can take any fluffy brush you have. So I'm going to dip it in there, pat up, and I'm just going to go right into the socket of my eye and just blend it in there. I'm going to dip back in for the other eye and nice and blended. Now, as you can tell, I'm getting some fallout underneath my eye, and that's why we're starting with the eyes first. Because if you had done your face first, you'll have concealer and everything in it, can ruin your makeup. To take a more smaller domed shaped brush, looks like this. This one's from e.l.f. actually. This is the Professional Blending Eye Brush. And what we're going to do with this is you want a smaller, more compact brush to really build up the darker intensity in the outer corner. And for that, I'm going to go into the color Snakebite, which is actually right next to the other color we used right here. This is a really gorgeous, deeper brown with a little bit of shimmer in it. So I'm going to go ahead, dip my brush in there, tap off the excess, and you want to go right on the outer V. You don't want to bring the color in too far because you want your eyes to be lighter when you get more towards the inner corner. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this and go right here on the outer corner. Just building up the color. And I'm going to kind of drag it into my crease and blend it in. The key to a smoky eye is blending everything. The nice thing about a smoky eye is if you mess up, it's really easy to correct, especially because you can just add more darker colors and just make it more smoky. And you can really build up the colors depending on how much of a smoky eye you want. So I'm really just building that intensity in the outer corner just like that. I'm going to go ahead and do it on the other eye. Now, as you can see, I'm kind of stopping about halfway into my eyelid, and that's where I want the brown to stop. And bring it into the crease because you want to blend everything together. And once again, don't worry about all the fallout. So just like that. Now, smoky eyes are always intimidating at first when you get to this step because they look kind of messy and not really put together. So just remember, it will look better in the end. Now I'm going to go back in with my fluffy brush, and I just added a little bit more of that transition shade, and I'm really just going to buff out those edges. You'll see me doing this a lot. I'll constantly go back to my transition shade and just buff out the edges. Sometimes you don't even need to put product on the brush. Just nice and blend, blend, blend. That's the key word here. Blend away. Just like that. And if you ever notice that the color gets too far out, that's fine. We can go up and clean that up later. Next is the fun part. Depending on your look, you can decide what color you want on the lid. I'm more of a gold person myself, so today I'm going to be doing a gold on the lid, but you can do a silver, a rose gold, any color you want. So for this, I'm going to take a flat shader brush. This is what this looks like. It's more of a compact, flat brush. It really packs the color on there. And so I'm going to be reaching into this color, Half Baked in the palette. It's the second one. This is one of my favorite gold shades. It's really nice and pigmented and just, it's beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead and take my brush in there, tap off the excess, and we're just going to put this all over the lid. So right on the lid. And this one you can bring in all the way into the inner corner. Now you want to make sure you don't go too far up your natural crease. Your natural crease is where if you open your eyes and you can see the hood of your eye, you don't want the color to go above that because that's where your transition shade is. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep putting the gold on the lid. And repeat the same steps for the second eye. Now, after we applied that gold, we might have lost some of the intensity in the outer quarter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to this brush that we used and put no product on it. And I'm just going to blend the two together because I really want them to look seamless. So I'm just going to blend them together and bring it into my crease a little bit. Just like that. And one thing that I found out that works really well with these shadows from the Urban Decay palette is your finger. So I'm going to take my ring finger and put a little bit more of that gold on there, and I'm just going to pat it on my eye because I really like an intense gold in the center of my lid. Same thing for the other eye. Just like that. Looks like that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back into our fluffy transition shade, and I'm going to grab just a teeny bit more, tap off the excess, and really blend the shadows together. Now what I'm going to do is you can skip this step if you like the smoky eye like this and you don't want it to get any more intense, then you don't need to add any darker shades. But I'm actually going to go ahead with this shade right here called Busted. It's a really, really, really dark brown. It looks almost like black. And I'm going to take an even smaller, dense brush like this, really nice and small. And I'm going to put a little bit of shadow on that. And then I'm really just going to stick this color right in the outer corner. So I'm not going to go in far at all. I'm really just going to focus this color on the outer corner. So just right here. And honestly, use a little amount. You don't need a lot. Right there in the outer corner. And do the same step for the other eye. Just like that. And go back in and blend above. Now, as you can see on this eye looks to be a little darker up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be taking the color Foxy from the palette, the very first shade, with just a fluffier, bigger brush. I'm going to tap into there, and I'm just going to work this up here. This is like an eraser, basically. It's kind of correcting any mistakes you might have, and I'm kind of just blending all the colors together. And if you get a color that's too dark, this is a great way to kind of erase the darkness without having to wipe off all your makeup. So I'm just kind of going on the outer edges to make sure it's really blended, just like that. Now, the next step is going to be taking a smaller brush. This is a really nice pointy brush. As you saw in my last video, I use this for my inner corner. Now, for your inner corner, you can carry on with your gold or you can use a different color. So for today, I'm going to be using the color Booty Call right here. It's kind of like a really nice white shimmery shade. That's really going to complement your eye. So I'm going to dip my brush into there, and I'm going to go right into my inner corner. Make sure to blend it and bring it together. And see how that just really livens your eyes? And I'm going to take a little bit of this on my brow bone too, because it's a nice balance. When you have a smoky eye, you really want to have a nice strong highlight on your brow bone so your eyes don't look too dark and sunken in. That's a really big tip that's going to help it so it balances everything out. Balance and blend are the key terms here. Okay, so we have just finished most of the eyes. Now we're going to move on to the skin. First, before finishing prepping the skin, I'm going to take just any old makeup wipe, and I'm going to be cleaning up my under eyes where I had that extra fallout. So just go ahead, wipe, and you can do a nice clean line to if you ever got any shadow that was too far out. So just clean it up, and just go right along there. And then now you have no fallout. So to prep the skin, we already used the fresh rose water spray, which has been sinking into our skin, so we're good to go. For actual primer, I'm going to be using the NYX Angel Veil today. This will really ensure that my makeup lasts all day long. You don't need a lot of this, so I'm just going to take about a pea-size amount, and I'm going to put this all over my face. Really making sure it soaks into my skin. For foundation today, I'm going to be using the Too Faced Born This Way foundation in the shade Warm Nude. This is a really nice natural looking foundation. I'm just going to put one pump on the back of my hand. You really don't need a lot. And once again, I'm going to be taking my beauty blender. This has already been dampened. I'm going to just dip in here, and you just want to start lightly pouncing on the skin. The Beauty Blender works great for this foundation because it's not a thick foundation, so it really just applies very beautifully on the skin. Now I'm going to go for more of a flawless finish, especially since I have a smoky eye. So I really want to make sure my skin complements and makes my eyes look even better. So once again, you really want to make sure you just keep blending all the product into your skin. It's going to make it look most natural. So I'm going to move on to the other side. Make sure you get those ears. You don't want any lines. And once again, bring it down to the neck. And sometimes what you can do is you can even switch to a foundation brush to bring the product down to your neck, because I feel like a brush on the neck works a little bit better. It kind of spreads the product faster. So once the product is all distributed evenly on your face, we are ready to move on to concealer. For concealer today, I'm going to be using the Covergirl Ready Set Gorgeous Concealer. And I'm just going to be placing this under my eyes in the natural areas where I would like to highlight. And I'm going to put a little bit right here, bridge on my nose, and a little bit on my chin. And for this step, I'm going to be using my Beauty Blender again. Just really make sure you blend it into the skin. Now this is just going to bring some light back into the face because you don't want the face to just be one color. And it's going to help all those nights that you didn't get any sleep. Now, I'm going to move on to correcting any areas that I think are problematic. So for this, I'm going to take more of a skin tone concealer. This is the Naked Skin by Urban Decay in the color Medium Neutral. This is a really, really nice concealer. So once again, I'm just going to be putting this around my nose a little bit and on my chin. I just do a couple of lines. and I'm going to be taking my beauty blender to blend this in, just since this is the tool we are already working with. Now you want to make sure you press lightly with the beauty blender. You don't want to be extremely like hitting your face with it. Just nice light pounces. Now once that is all blended in, you want to make sure you set your under eye. So for this, I'm going to be using the Laura Mercier Translucent Setting Powder. So you're going to look up, pat out all your creases, and then go directly into the powder. And we're going to bake under the eye. So you see that white cast? That's just basically a lot of powder sitting on my under eyes, and it's really going to make sure it all stays in place, and it really gives a nice and flawless look after it's done. So we're gonna let that sit for just a few seconds. You can honestly let it sit for minutes depending on how much of a bake you want. If you have really oily skin, this would be a great thing. If you have dry skin, I would stay away from it. So next I'm going to be taking my BH Cosmetics small tapered brush, and I'm just going to swipe away the bake. Really make sure it's gone. Perfect. Now, before we finish the rest of the face, since I have my under eyes complete, we're going to go back into the eyes and finish the lower lash line. For the lower lash line, you want to make sure you balance it out with the top. You don't want to have a super dark upper eye and then nothing on the bottom lashes. So for this, I'm going to be taking a really small smudger brush. Just got a really nice small tip. And first, I'm going to go in with the color Tease again in our palette, this one. And I'm going to just dip in and pat off, and then just right under your lash line, just smudge it under there. Now, since we had some shimmer on the top lash, I want some on the bottom lash line, so I'm going to go with the color Snakebite, and I'm going to focus this more on towards the outer corner, just like we did on the top lash line. I'm kind of just duplicating what I did on the top to the bottom. Just like that. And one more time, just because I like to make sure everything's blended, I'm going to go in and just make sure the top is blended. And I'm going to add a little bit more of my highlight to my brow bone since we lost it a little bit, and I really like that. Just like that. And speaking of brows, we're going to move on to those next. For brows, it's the same exact thing I did in my last video. So I'm going to begin by taking the Precisely My Brow Pencil by Benefit and then number 3, and I'm just going to brush my brows up. After I brush them up, I'm going to be taking the pencil and just lightly filling them in where needed. Not the entire brow because I don't want it to look too drawn on. So just nice like flicking strokes. And just fill in the right there. And go on to the other eye. Just like that. And when they're done, make sure to brush them. Brush them through. And you are set. For this, I'm going to be taking the 24-Hour Brow Setter by Benefit. I'm going to just lightly comb this through my brows. Just like that. Making sure I comb them up as I do so. Now, since we're done with the brows, we're going to finish with the face. For the face, I look kind of dead right now since I'm kind of just one solid color. So we're going to bring some warmth back in the face. And for this, I'm going to be going into my NYX Bronzing palette. I really do like this, and it's very inexpensive and totally worth it. So for this, I'm going to go back in with my Sonia Kashia brush, and I'm just going to mix all the colors together and just bronze up the perimeter of my face. Now, a good way to know where to bronze is think of a 3. You go right here, your cheekbones and down. It forms a 3. So see, you go on your forehead, your cheeks, and your jawline. It forms a 3. And I always put a little bit on my nose. But other than that, you want to keep the center of your face the lightest. And of course, always bring some bronzer down your neck so it matches. You don't ever want to forget about your neck with anything. Skincare, makeup. And then what I do after that is I take just a clean foundation brush and I kind of press it into my skin, because I feel like it really just blends out all the edges in case it just didn't get blended. So I do that, and the bronzer is good to go. For blush, I'm going to use the Benefit GALifornia blush. This is a really pretty peachy shade, and it kind of just goes with like every look. So I'm going to be taking my Real Techniques brush, dipping it in there, smiling and pushing it on the back of my cheeks. Now I don't want too much blush for this look because I want the focus to be on the eyes. So if you get too much blush, just always go back in with this brush and just pat it in, and it will kind of blend away. This blush is very blendable. Just like that. Now, since we used gold on the lid, I would like to incorporate a gold highlighter. And since highlighter is my favorite, we're going to be going in to the Anastasia Beverly Hills Glow Kit in Sun Dipped. These glow kits are amazing. So it's got 4 shades in here. Looks like this. And we're going to be reaching into this really pretty gold shade today. And I'm going to be using my Anastasia A23 brush. So I'm going to dip into the shade Summer and just apply this right on the apples of my cheeks. Or sorry, not the apples of my cheeks, on my cheekbone. Just nice like that. And bringing it up above my brow. Just making sure it's all blended in. Do it on the other side. See, it's just a gorgeous, nice, natural glow. And it's really buildable, so you can have like a really intense highlight or a more subtle one if you'd like. But I like that intense glow. Next, we are going to go back in. Let me see if I can find the brush. Here we go. My little pointy brush. Take a little bit of that. Put it on my nose and draw my exclamation point. And you can even use your finger for this. Just put it on the tip. But make sure you blend it out. You don't want a super intense one. Like, see, that's a little too intense. It looks like I just have like a gold shine on my nose. So if that ever happens, just go in with like your beauty blender and just kind of bounce it away. And it will go away. And you also want to take it on your Cupid's bow. Just like that. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, for mascara, it's the same routine as I did in my last video, so I'm going to actually go do that off camera, and I will be right back. Okay, so I'm just back from applying my mascara to both my bottom and top lashes. So after you've applied your mascara, you're done with your eyes, and we're done with our face basically. So the last finishing touches are setting it with the Glam Glow Glow Setter Makeup Setting Spray. Not only does this give your skin like a nice natural glow, but it really sets your makeup and it smells so good. If you don't have it, I suggest just going to the store and smelling it, and you will love it. So we're just going to do a couple spritz of this. Maybe more than a couple because it smells so good. Let that sit into your skin right there. And I like to do my setting spray before I do like any type of lipstick because it can kind of break it down. For lips, you can do any type of color, but today I'm going to just stick with the nude, and I'm going to try out this new Maybelline Super Matte Ink Lipstick. It's in the color 05 Loyalist, It's just this really pretty nude, and I'm going to swatch it for you real quick. It's got just like a gorgeous color, and the applicator is awesome. It's like a nice doe foot applicator. But it's just, the formula on it just feels amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and apply that to my lips. Ooh, it's so pigmented. Gorgeous. Now, like I said, you can really use any lip color. This would be a really pretty holiday look. So like just throwing a nice red on there would really like be great for Christmas. Now, this is a matte lipstick and it looks great, but I like a little bit of shine to my lip. So I'm going to go in with this Covergirl lip gloss, and it doesn't have a shade on it, but it's just this nice, really clear lip gloss. So I'm just going to put a little bit in the center of my lid. And that completes our look. I'll zoom in on the eyes really quick so you guys can see. So it's just a really nice, gorgeous, smoky eye. Nothing too crazy, but you always can amp it up. I love the gold in the lid and the highlight. Well, that completes the look for today. I hope you guys liked it. Give me a thumbs up if you do. And of course, subscribe to my channel below. I will leave all the items I used in the description bar below. And if you guys have any video requests, make sure to let me know and I'll get them for you. All right, bye.